Most influencers will tell you to obsess over subject lines to boost your open rate. Their logic is that if your prospect doesn't open their emails, they can't reply. It's hard to argue with this logic, but there is one fundamental problem with it. That's just not how the game is played. And to be clear, that's not even the game you should be playing if you want to get replies. Let me show you a more simple and effective way to approach subject lines instead. No clickbait, no spammy tricks, just subject lines that land in the inbox, get your email opened, build trust, and get your replies. But why should you listen to me? I'm Jeremy, the founder of QuickMail, a platform that sends cold outreach via email and LinkedIn automation. I've literally analyzed billions of cold emails sent by your clients over the last decade, and in this video, I'll show you how to write the perfect subject line, avoiding all the classic pitfalls along the way. Okay, let's say you just sent 300 cold emails. You tested two subject lines. One got 65% open rate, the other got 50% open rate. It's tempting to jump to conclusion and assume that the first subject line is a winner with 65% open rate. But open rate is only helpful as a proxy for deliverability, not to test copy effectiveness. So which one is getting more replies? Because after all, that's what we really want to know, not opens. When playing with subject line, it's easy to forget that, number one, sample size is usually way too small to be statistically significant. Number two, the number of replies is really what you should be optimizing for, not opens. And number three, subject lines are only a small part of the equation. Consider this. When people receive an email, they immediately see four things: the profile picture, the sender's name, the subject line, of course, and the first line of the message, also called the preview text. So let's play this out. Imagine you open your inbox and you see this. Email 1 is from darksamurai76@gmail.com. There is no picture, the subject line is partnership, and the preview says, "Hi, I hope this email finds you well." Now compare that to email 2. Email 2 is from Sarah from Bluetech. Her avatar is showing a friendly face. The subject line is also partnership, and the preview says, "Jeremy, we'd like to promote QuickMail to our audience, ... Which one would you open? I don't know about you, but I know which one I would open. My point is not that subject lines have no impact, but that it's only one small part of what makes people open your email. And I'd even argue that opens should not be the goal of a subject line. But first, let's check all the other elements. A picture in a profile shows that the sender took time to personalize their account. A warm, professional, smiling photo builds trust instantly. Bonus point if the person is attractive by the recipient standards. Receiving an email without a picture avatar is the equivalent of getting called by an unknown ID. For the name of the sender, make sure it's properly displayed. Sometimes you see an email address instead of the name because the email account was badly configured. Don't be that person. Set up a Google account profile properly and send yourself test emails before starting to send with a new email address. Also, please don't use free Gmail accounts. If you're emailing someone for business purposes and it says ninjasalesguys94@gmail.com, let's just say that you aren't leaving a good impression right from the bat. Instead, use a custom domain with your company's name. May not win you clients, but it won't lose them either. As for the name itself, it helps if the name is familiar to the recipient. People trust what is familiar and distrust what they don't know or understand. Call centers in foreign countries often give their agents a more classic name for that reason. And look, I'm not here to write the world. As a founder, my role is to get results by removing friction to open more conversations. Now let's talk about the preview text, that little snippet next to your subject line. It's crazy to me to see that no one is talking about it, and to see that most emails are wasting that precious space. This is actually where you really want the hook, not in the subject line. You can really use that space to convince people to open and read your email much better than with a subject line. What most people don't know, however, is that the preview text can be crafted to reflect something else than the beginning of your message. In QuickMail, you just need to fill the preview field when writing your email, and you can even personalize it with custom attributes, so every prospect receives a different text. Think of, "Jeremy, I was attending your last webinar on X," or "Kudos on the 4.3 stars on website X." You can also decide to build curiosity with things like, "The truth about deliverability is not ... or "Have you considered having a podcast guest that ... As quickly mentioned, a 10% boost in open rate means nothing if no one replies. Open rates are just primarily a vanity metric. What you want is replies. And to get replies, you need to earn trust as fast as possible. Every part of your email, from the name, the picture, the subject line to the preview text, should work together to answer one simple question in your prospect's mind. Is it worth my time to open and read this email? If the answer is yes, you've earned an open and a fair chance at getting a reply too. So stop stressing over subject lines. It's not as important as influencer would like you to think. Treat them as what they are, just a small part of the puzzle, not the whole story, and definitely not worth your time obsessing about it. Instead, I want you to think about the whole recipient experience, because we need to build trust before they open the email. The goal of a cold email is not to be opened, but to open a conversation. And there is no conversation without replies. But Jeremy, I still need to write my subject line. What should I put? Okay, let me walk you through a simple system I use to write subject line that will remove all the stress of coming up with the right one and let you focus on what moves the needle instead. The simplest way to write great subject lines is to treat them as mini contract between you and your reader. Think of your subject line as a promise of what you're going to talk about. It simply tells the reader what they should expect the email to be about. Keep it short. 1 to 3 words or lowercase, that's enough. For example, partnership, hiring, webinar guests, traffic boost, and so on. And if you want to be fancy, you can always add a question mark at the end. That's the formula. It doesn't have to be rocket science. So if you're planning to invite someone on your podcast, your subject line can be things like podcast, podcast next week, question mark, or even open to podcasting, question mark. Now imagine a busy executive scrolling through their inbox. They see podcast, profile picture looks good, name is familiar, and the preview sounds interesting. They decide to open the email, and just by opening it, they've silently agreed to at least hear you out on this topic. But Jeremy, what if they're not interested in podcasts? Well, getting an open won't get you a reply in that case, so it's best to let your prospect automatically filter themselves out based on a clear subject line rather than relying on confusion or curiosity, because they'll resent you for wasting their time. Those actually interested in a topic will open the email. And because the subject line was simple and honest, the message will feel more aligned and build instant trust, making the recipient more receptive to what you have to say. Plus, shorter subject lines are easier to process. It takes less effort to decide whether to open the email or not, and it shows that you respect the recipient's time. And when your email delivers on exactly what you promised, you are more likely to get a reply or at least avoid being flagged as spam. Say what you mean and just stick to it. Now, I wish I didn't need to say it, but there are some pitfalls that eager cold emailers will be tempted to fall into. Don't. Let's imagine you're casually checking your inbox and finding an email titled RE:podcast. It's short, clear, and seems to follow my rules. But you have never spoken to this person in your life. You'll probably be confused, and if you open the email, you'll quickly realize that this person has never sent you anything before. You feel cheated instantly and regret having opened this email. Every ounce of credibility that the sender could have had at this point is lost. The sender may have obtained an open from you, but he will likely not get a reply or at least a nice one. People try to game the system all the time with tricks like RE or FWD for forward to bypass the rapport building phase. It may be tempting, but it's more likely to backfire. And don't you dare going full clickbait with lines like your wife is in a hospital or disappointed about your product or couldn't buy your product. Sure grabs attention. People will open your message expecting urgency and instead find a pitch. The emotional whiplash leads to instant distrust, delete, and more likely a spam report. Another common mistake is to capitalize every word. I don't get it. It makes sense for blog titles and H1 on websites. Subject lines, not so much. So keep things clear and stay away from fancy subject lines. You have plenty of opportunity to express your creativity in the body of the email. Finally, there is a preview text. Most people forget that those 1 or 2 lines are just as visible as the subject line itself, if not more. If it starts with something that adds 0 value, like I hope this message finds you well, you've already lost momentum. Instead, imagine you're sitting across a person at a coffee shop and sliding them a quick note. That's how your preview should sound like. Something like, saw your post on LinkedIn and had a quick idea. It's casual, specific, and it makes them curious enough to keep reading. If your subject line says LinkedIn audience, it creates a trustworthy environment for the prospect to open and read your email. What about no subject line at all? It's possible to send email without subject lines. It will display no subject and give you more space for your preview text. So it may work, but since it heavily depends on your preview text, I'd keep the idea for a small A/B test. And if your reply tanks, pull the plug. The goal is to be consistent and trustworthy, so keep it simple and always write like you respect the reader's time and make their job easier. That's how you get a reply after an open. Unfortunately, there is a caveat to writing short and simple subject lines, and it comes with volume. See, email filters are smart these days. If you send the same subject line to hundreds of people, your deliverability may drop. Even with a great subject line, you'll need to introduce some variation just to maintain your deliverability. But that's a double-edged sword, as it's mostly cold emailers who send personalized subject lines. No one from your team, family, or friends will send an email with your first name in the subject line. They may send me an email with the name of my company alone, but it will not give me much context as to what this email is about, and it will miss the chance to build trust with me. Adding personalization in subject line may feel odd or artificial. So let's see what light personalization can be done to help with volume. The easiest one is to use company name in a natural way. For example, QuickMail's blog, QuickMail podcast ? Or even webinar with QuickMail. And of course, make sure company name doesn't contain LLC or weird uppercase letters. If you want your prospect attention, you can even drop competitors' names, but again, judge results based on reply rate, not on open rate. And if you don't like personalizing subject lines, simply rotate a few predefined ones and you'll be fine in most cases. If you've been obsessing about subject lines, swapping one word for another, hoping for a magic boost, I hope you understand that this is not the way to go. Once again, the goal of a subject line is not to trick people into opening your email, but to help build trust. Stay consistent, stay honest, and make sure your email paints an inviting picture that people want to know more about. Who you reach out to, what do you say, why does it matter to them? Those answers drive results and get your replies. If you're worried about deliverability, don't overthink it. Rotate 2 or 3 honest subject lines. That's all you need, and personalize only when it makes sense. And if your subject line doesn't earn the right to be read, delete it. Having no subject line will always perform better than a bad one. And if you want to use A/B testing with advanced metrics that don't bleed between tests, give QuickMail a go. You'll find the link below for a 14-day trial. And if you want more tactics that actually move the needle, make sure you subscribe to this channel.